The First Thanksgiving. Our story begins with the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims came from England, which is very far away from America. The Pilgrims left England because they were not happy with their lives there and the way others were living their lives around them. They decided to set sail for America, which they called the New World. The Pilgrims set sail to America in 1602. That's over 400 years ago. The boat was called the Mayflower, and it sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. The Mayflower had large white sails. The wind would push against the sails, causing the boat to move across the water. There were 102 people on the boat, plus the crew. There was also 2 dogs. A baby was born while the boat was sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. His parents named him Oceanus, which means ocean. Their journey to America was not an easy one. It was very long. The people were very cramped on the boat and had no way of cleaning themselves. They ate hard bread and oatmeal every day. It was hard to hold down that food because the ocean was very wavy and rocky at times. The journey lasted 66 days. But the Pilgrims made it to America in November of 1620. Many people think the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock, but they actually landed in Cape Cod in Massachusetts. The Pilgrims later moved to Plymouth Rock. The Pilgrims actually arrived in the winter. There were no houses waiting for them when they arrived in America. The men had to build houses in the heavy and cold snow and sleet. Sleet is rain mixed with snow. The weather made it very hard to build houses, and the Pilgrims had to live in the Mayflower until the houses were built. Many Pilgrims died during that winter, and it was a very sad and hard time. The Pilgrims were not alone in this new land. In fact, there were people who had been in America for thousands of years before them. They were the Wampanoags, a Native American tribe. They were very friendly people who really loved the earth and nature. The Pilgrims were scared of the Native Americans because they were so much different from them. They wore different clothes, lived in different houses, and lived their lives differently from the Pilgrims. The Native Americans, however, were afraid of the Pilgrims too, because they had been by themselves for some time, and now there were strange people on their land. The Pilgrims and the Native Americans could not even understand each other because they talked differently. Although the Native Americans were somewhat afraid of the Pilgrims, they still helped them. The Native Americans taught the Pilgrims how to plant crops, hunt animals for food, and gather berries. When it was time to harvest the crops, which means to gather up their plants, the Pilgrims had more than enough to survive the next winter. The Pilgrims probably would not have survived if the Native Americans didn't help them. They were very thankful that the Native Americans taught them how to live in this new land that was America. The Native Americans and Pilgrims decided to gather together and give thanks for all that they had. This was the first Thanksgiving feast. The Native Americans and the Pilgrims ate turkey, cranberries, corn, and pumpkin, which might be some of the food that you eat for Thanksgiving today. Now you know the story of the first Thanksgiving and why we celebrate this holiday. Thanksgiving is a time for people to gather together, to eat yummy food, but most importantly, to give thanks. Happy Thanksgiving!